Hello everyone, Editor-in-Chief of Nintendojo, Robert Marujo here with another review. 18 years since the last installment was released. 8 years in development. And finally, on December 4th, 2025, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond was released to a waiting public. It was a long time coming, but Metroid Prime 4 is here, and, well, I'd be lying if I didn't say this was a hard game to review. On the one hand, it very much manages to capture the feel of the series. Grappling, rolling around in morph ball mode, firing missiles, scanning the environment. It all feels solid in how a Metroid Prime game should. But the excess of hand-holding, a bland open world, and a seeming refusal to take risks hold back what is an otherwise excellent first-person adventure. Metroid Prime 4 picks things up in media res, with the Galactic Federation outpost under fire by a force of space pirates led by the mercenary Sylix. The Federation has unearthed an ancient artifact on the planet, which Sylix and the pirates are desperate to get a hold of. Samus Aran, series star and bounty hunter extraordinaire, is called in to help save the day. As Samus battles Sylix, the artifact is damaged, opening a warp hole that pulls her and everyone else in, transporting them to the planet Viros. It's here that Samus learns of the Lemorn, a race of extinct beings who consider her to be the chosen one. Samus is gifted a psychic crystal that adheres to her armor and imbues her with new psychic powers. She is also told that she must ascend to the peak of Kronos Tower in order to escape the planet. So far, so good. After exiting the tower, players are introduced to the 5 realms of Viros: Fury Green, a verdant jungle; Flare Pool, a volcanic facility that cultivates green energy; Ice Belt, a frozen laboratory; Volt Forge, an enormous factory; and Great Mines, an underground labyrinth. All of these locations are connected by Soul Valley, a vast desert with Kronos Tower at its center. As far as hub worlds go, Soul Valley might as well be called Soulless Valley. It's one of the blandest I've ever encountered. Dependent upon Samus's new Viola motorcycle to traverse, the only thing this area manages to convey is a sense of size and nothing more. Sure, it's dotted with points of interest to interact with, including a small smattering of Breath of the Wild-esque shrines to explore. But beyond that, the area seems to only exist as a means of creating distance between the 5 primary locales I listed. For the sake of contrast, look at how Nintendo handled world traversal in Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Launching on the underpowered Nintendo Wii, the devs simply didn't have the resources to build a proper open world. So instead, the team utilized Samus's gunship as an actual transport vehicle that would take her to isolated locations on multiple planets for exploration. What's more, the gunship, although incapable of being piloted directly, could even be called in to do things like strafing runs, moving cargo, and more. Flash forward almost 20 years later to Metroid Prime 4, and it feels like the designers moved backwards with the design of Soul Valley and the implementation of Viola. Moving away from Soul Valley and getting into the regions of Viros, things start to improve. Each locale is richly rendered and flush with details, and ultimately miles more enjoyable than anything out in the sand. However, despite having some pretty cool titles, honestly, who couldn't love a name like Fury Green, each region comes across as frustratingly generic. Almost like these were tick boxes Retro was ordered to check off to make it a proper Metroid Prime game. Jungle, lava, ice, factory, and mine are all these regions are, and I really couldn't say anything about most of them that stands out in my mind. Compare that with the first Metroid Prime game, where locations like Magmore Caverns and Phendrana Drifts, to name just 2, are infinitely more memorable than their counterparts here. If they couldn't top the originals, why not instead come up with something entirely different and avoid these comparisons in the first place? Sadly, it's this lack of daring that holds Metroid Prime 4 back from going to the next level. Even Samus's psychic abilities are largely just reskinned versions of what we've seen countless times before. Remember the space boots? And how they grant Samus a double jump? Well, now she has psychic boots, and, well, they also grant her a double jump. Still, for all my grousing, as I mentioned earlier, everything feels the way it should. And after so long without a new one of these games to play, it's an immensely satisfying sensation to experience it all once more. Combat is challenging, even on the normal difficulty level, and the environmental puzzles, although easy enough for series veterans to suss out solutions for, were gratifying to engage with. There are a handful of very exciting encounters to be found throughout the game, including a showdown with a pack of wolves that was excellently metal in execution. For the most part, I spent my time on Viros feeling like I was slipping on a comfortable old pair of shoes. Readouts on my visor, my arm cannon primed for action, and a sense of foreboding as I dove into deep, dark tunnels and passages, unsure of what to expect next. That is until Miles opened his big, stupid mouth to ruin it all. Doubtlessly, many of you have already heard about Miles McKenzie, Samus's primary point of contact with the remnants of the Galactic Federation troops that are stranded on Viros. He, along with Ezra Duke, Nora Armstrong, Rieger Takibi, and a robot called View 995 are Samus's allies who pop up throughout her adventure. Now, to provide some context, I will say that I'm not the sort of Metroid fan who loses his mind at the thought of Samus interacting with other people in her games. I sincerely love Metroid Prime 3 almost exactly as much as I do Metroid Prime 1, and that game had plenty of voice acting and Galactic Federation troops to speak to. And largely the cast in Metroid Prime 4 is mostly inoffensive, albeit not all that original. Pretty much every character comes across as an anime trope. Frankly, what bothers me about the cast isn't that they're in the game, but that they're a lost opportunity. Yes, I understand plenty of the GF troops would be in awe of Samus, but what about the ones who don't like her, because she doesn't have to play by the same rules as the rank-and-file soldiers? Why does Nora have to play to modern-day sensibilities and instantly love the other female character? Strife and conflict make for compelling character dynamics, and Nintendo opted for none of that here. But let's get back to Miles. Miles. I can't stand him. It's that simple. He's the quintessential millennial Gen Z, oh my god Z's personality type who undercuts virtually every scene he's in. In Fury Green, when you first encounter Miles, he takes away all of the tension that you previously felt walking around the jungle, because he's talking virtually every step of the way. Worse, he will incessantly transmit to Samus while out exploring to tell her where to go next, which wouldn't be so offensive if you could have the option to turn him off. But no, this is a Nintendo game, so of course you can't. While this isn't the first time Nintendo has introduced hand-holding in a Metroid game, Miles is so annoying and unlikable that I couldn't forgive his inclusion. I'll take Adam any day of the week over this dork. It got to the point that I began completely ignoring the prompts Miles gave to open my map as my own form of rebellion against him and the designers. Even after all of the complaints I've made here, I still overall liked playing Metroid Prime 4, despite, or perhaps in spite of, Nintendo's machinations to seemingly ensure that I didn't. Replacing the elegant world traversal design of Metroid Prime 3 with the bland, boring overworld of Soul Valley felt like a step backwards. The designers played it too safe with environment and item designs, and I'd give anything to launch Miles into a nebula somewhere. But overall, I spent the bulk of my time just soaking in the alien atmosphere, blowing up bad guys and monsters, and basking in the beautiful visuals on display. As returns go, this could have been much worse, but overall this gave me hope that Retroid could still make a Metroid Prime game. But now they need to show me they can still make a great one. Nintendojo awards Metroid Prime 4 Beyond a C+. If you enjoyed this review, please support us with a like and a follow. You can find more of Nintendojo at our website and on social media. Catch you next time.